The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Welcome to the Cashman Mind, Body, Spirit show. I have a guest with me today, Jai Varamala. Pronounce it for me so I get it right.
Jairam Vanamala.
Jairam Vanamala.
Yes.
And a researcher and doctor, PhD?
Yes.
Yes, originally from India, now works at Purdue University, a very knowledgeable individual. And the subject we have today, and I'd like to hear about how long people live in India on the average, is longevity. Healthy and looking good at 100. Remember, I'm 39 for the 48th time, weigh 132 pounds, okay? So I practice what we're going to preach today. And, you know, we all have our own ideas, and I have many books with me, and I'll hold them up one at a time, and our own ideas. But here I have one, Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. Hey, I'm going to teach you how not to get older and play pickleball and tap dance like me at age 39 for the 48th time. So here's a book that you might like to read, and we'll be quoting from that and some other books, and by Sinclair, Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. And I will let you know what are the main preventers of getting a day older and to be healthy. What's the sense of living to 110 if we're laying in bed all day, okay? I want you to be healthy, and I want you to be looking good.
Yes.
So tell us, what about how is aging going on in India today? What do you think? Are they succumbing to our chronic diseases, or are they much healthier than us? And what do you think the average age is in India?
So average age in India increased over the time because of advancements in the medicine and also primarily the hygiene and other interventions government has taken.
Yeah.
So now it stands at around 65 to 66 for male. It used to be in 40s few decades back.
Yeah,
And
how
now
about that?
there's a tremendous difference that we see. At the same time, as they are aging, they're also becoming vulnerable to type 2 diabetes, cancer, a variety of other chronic diseases. They are deviating from the lifestyle that they had to a different type of lifestyle that is mostly Western lifestyle.
Yeah, this is what I understand too, is that in America, the average age is higher than that, about 15 years or so.
Yes.
Women live a little longer than men. But what I've learned after this extensive reading of all these books and my own experience in my library of 2,000 books in my basement, which you have seen,
Yes.
and you know that is there, is that really there is no clear-cut study that indicates that we have to die at these younger ages that we're dying at. Yeah, yeah, and what they're thinking is that if we do some of the things that we'll be speaking about, actually living over 100, looking good, pretty much disease-free, could be coming. They're thinking the next century, you know, they're thinking the average age may be 150. 100 years from now, yeah. So let's get on the road.
Yes.
And the things that we talk about, we practice. Remember, I'm on 0 pills. All my blood tests are normal. I'll gladly show them to you. Okay, let's get on the road.
And you are 87.
Yeah, 87. You're
And
right.
your blood test is all normal.
He can still add, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and my blood tests are normal. And why do I bring that up? It's possible. It's not to compliment me. It's just that if I'm going to try to teach it to you, I've got to be an example.
Exactly.
And you're an example too. So, and I want you to reach 100 and to be on no drugs. It's possible. It's possible. Let's go on the road. We talked about these books. That actually, I found after doing all this reading, the most important thing actually is exercise.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be big time weightlifting and anything. It can just be walking every day. Matter of fact, a good thing to do if you're able to walk is to do HIIT, to go fast. Say what I like to do in the mornings. I walk about 20 fast steps and then 10 slow. So it's intermittent, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's why I like pickleball. I didn't say you had to play pickleball, but I play it 4 days a week. And at my age, I can compete with the younger people, you know what I mean? And not the big old sluggers, but I go to Indian Trails or the Y or Wildwood or different places, country club that I play at. I'm pretty competitive. I mean, I have an advantage a little bit because I played tennis for many years, but you don't have to have been a tennis player to play pickleball. That sport is sort of taken over the nation. The other thing I do is tap dancing. And that helps me walk, it helps me, you know, and I connect to nature, which we'll speak about a little bit later. So exercise is important. Exercise the brain. You know, my library, 2,000 books. So I get up in the morning, I'm reading. You know, I'm reading. Doesn't mean you have to, but I think, or playing games or puzzles, keep the brain young. So exercising is important. If you're sedentary, to lead a long life is unusual. There are people who have very bad habits. They smoke and they drink too much, and they live past 100, but that's rare. That's rare.
So when we exercise, we create a better circulation of the blood, and brain receives nourishment and also oxygen. When it comes to reading the book, how or solving the puzzle, how it helps the brain?
Yeah, because we are using it, and good habits develop that way. It also improves our memory, for example. You know, if we keep on repeating something, you're more likely, like my tap dancing or my pickleball playing, because I repeat it and I'm using it and doing it. It gets these enzymes and chemicals and neurotransmitters to be used regularly. And if you're exercising, your odds of developing chronic diseases like diabetes and stuff is less. But exercise is not the only thing. Number 2 is nutrition. What you eat, what you're eating, and what I've written books about. You see the book up there. The easiest way is really to do a keto way of eating, because if you're in ketone metabolism, ketones are small molecules made by the liver. If you're eating more good fats, fat isn't all bad. No. I want you actually, if you look at my pyramid, I want you to eat about 60, 70% good fats. So learn what good fats are. You can go to YouTube, Rudy Cashman. I get TV shows on there you can watch. 700 TV shows. Okay? There are actually, that's the reason about my Indian connection is those shows now the people in India are looking at, because the nation is so encumbered with type 2 diabetes and there's 50 diseases that it causes, from dementia to neurologic diseases. They can be largely avoided by eating right. So what I like is Rudy's, and that's on that book, 16-8, fasting, time-regulated eating. I eat 2 meals a day. Is that tough to do? No, after a week or two, you adjust to that. Because I wake up in the morning, I get around 5 o'clock, I go down to this room, I have it downstairs, and I have books there. I read books. I may look at the computer or my iPad, and around 6:15, the light comes out, and I have a lot of bird feeders. I relate to nature. I think that's great, because to me, plants, animals, nature, we're all connected. And if we have time later, I'll tell you the story that you witnessed about the geese.
Yes.
And that nature connects to us and makes you relax, makes you feel better.
Not only I witnessed, but also I took the video of the geese dancing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, then I have to tell the story now. What we're talking about is, because maybe a good 20 years, I've been feeding a woodchuck and his family, and I have geese, and there are birds, and there are geese, and there are outside cats, and rabbits, and squirrels. They're out there, because that makes me feel good, and the animals feel good, and they also have habits.
Yes.
They don't try to kill each other. I mean, sometimes I see a fox come across, but I had, as you were there, we had 3 Indian doctors visiting, and we were in the driveway. We were just taking a walk around my pond, and we look at the pond, and there were 25 geese there who eat out of my bird feeders, and we kind of become friends. And you cannot believe this, connecting to nature. Those geese lined up single file and went around my 1.5-acre pond in a figure of 8 about 5 times. And you videoed it. So he had a video of it, so I have proof. Never seen them do it before, and never seen them do it after. They were just going like this 5 times, and just maybe they were saying, "Thank you, Rudy."
Yes, so, I see that because you connect with the nature, birds, trees, and animals around, I think your soul is much more anchored because you are connecting to a variety of life forms.
Yeah. And when you walk around, you look at the trees, maybe occasionally you whistle to the birds, sing a song, so you're relaxing, you're getting stronger. So, and remember I spoke about the fasting. So while I'm looking out there, I'm not eating, I'm having coffee, tea, or something, that's fine. But fasting goes back thousands of years. About what happens in that 16 hours, which I recommend 16-8. 16 hours I don't eat, 8 hours, eat 1 or 2 meals, hopefully fairly healthy. We'll speak about that. Remember we talked about nutrition. But in that 16 hours that you're fasting, after about 8-10 hours, your glucose level went down, your insulin level went down, your fat cells open up, and the fat goes to the liver, and they're turned into ketones, and that's your energy molecule then. Your brain loves ketones. And I used to think I felt so good after having a cup of coffee or 2 in the morning is fine. I used to think it was the caffeine, but I realize now it's the ketones. The ketones are really high energy and make you feel good. I may go play pickleball, take a walk, sing to the birds, whatever, and relax. So fasting is a good idea if you want to get healthy, but it's not necessary. But that's a quick way, and then eat 2 meals a day. If you do that, you'll live to be 100. So that's my plan. My doctor said, "Rudy, you plan to live to be 100? Yeah, that's my plan. And I want that to be your plan. But I want you to be healthy." And that's your plan now, right?
Yes. Actually, when you look at Indian culture, even traditionally, they had fasting as incorporated into their lifestyle.
Is that
So
right?
yeah, very integral to the lifestyle is fasting, is promoted early on. Nowadays, people have a lot more resources to eat 3 meals a day, and that is also maybe the reason for increase in chronic diseases. That fasting was incorporated, and now we know scientifically that when we fast, it creates an opportunity for phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes in our liver. There are over 300 different detoxifying enzymes in the liver. They can do their job if our body is not focused on digestion and gives us space. That 16:8 is a beautiful concept, because that fasting is happening every day and cleansing is happening every day, so that there's less opportunities for chronic diseases to develop, because the detoxification process is efficient.
Yeah, how beautiful a description. Autophagia
Yes.
is the scientific term for it.
Yeah.
Your body is being repaired. The body is getting rid of damaged cells, building new cells, and that's a very healthy thing to do. Actually, our body can repair itself quite well if you give it a chance.
Yes.
It's the same with brushing your teeth. If you get some dental pain, if you brush your teeth twice a day and floss a little bit, and don't run to the dentist right away, your pain may actually go away. That's been my experience, and that's in books. We'll just speak about dentition a little bit later. So with this, and we call this intermittent fasting, 16-day time-regulated fasting. If you exercise, you do that alone, you're way on the way to living. I mean, that's number 1 and 2, and it's big time. So, but exercise is probably number 1. And it has been used in the past, in centuries, for vitality. If you want to really be moving and be healthy, those two things are very important. Dr. Harvey, 400 years ago, a doctor, the one who described about blood flow, that it's around the body, that it affects every cell in your body, spoke about it too. And that when you exercise, the blood vessels are multiplying, and your muscles are growing, and you're getting healthier. So that is bringing it to at a cellular level. Also, it's been discovered at a cellular level, where you need, frankly, an electron microscope to see the cells. They've now discovered that your chromosomes, your 23 chromosomes paired 46, that they have extension to them called telomeres. And the length of the telomeres tells the length of your lifespan. The shorter your telomere, the sooner you're going to die. And so it is important when mothers are pregnant and have a baby inside, their habits, whether they're smoking, whether they're drinking or taking drugs, will determine the genetic script and the telomere length in their baby. So the habits of the mother can cut the life short of the infant very quickly, because time the baby is born, only about 5 or 10% of their genetic script has been written. So the habits of the mother, the noise in the house, and the father, whether it's music or the Mozart effect, or whether they're constantly arguing, or whether they're smoking, affects the baby in the placenta. It can be born too big, too small. It can be congenital abnormality, genetic changes, missing an arm, be born with diabetes, all affected by behavior of the mother. So the behavior of the mother, and even the husband beforehand, because that helps determine too, the ovary and the sperm, what the genetic chromosomal script is of the child being conceived. Okay, so this telomere thing has been known for quite a while, and we have to pay attention to that, because affected by exercise, by nutrition, what we do. So again, we mentioned fasting as being a very important thing. And also, genetics determine it, but genetics is not genes is not the main driver of longevity. It is for a few people. A few people live to be 100, 110. The longest lived person, 128, something like that, can have if your parents lived a long life, odds are that increases you, but it could be the habits that they put within you. So, but in the genes involve AMPK, mTOR does a lot of damage, so we want to turn mTOR down, and we have the certain genes which determine your telomere length in part. But your behavior is more important. So the elderly, only about 70% of the people over age 65, 70% are unhealthy. Yeah, so they probably are not going to live to be, 100. But maybe some people don't want to live to be 100 because they're, very unhealthy. They may be amputated, they may be demented, they may be taking 30 pills. But I want you to be without pills. It can be done. I'm doing it. You're doing it. And so we want to extend our telomeres, and we want to grow micro vessels. As Dr. Harvey said, that if you develop more micro vessels, our muscles may be getting bigger. So to do mild weightlifting,
yes.
I think good idea, but real heavy, I wouldn't be too hard on that. And exercise affects our mitochondria. Mitochondria are inside of every cell outside the nucleus, and they respond, they create the energy. They work better if we can breathe well.
Yes.
If you're smoking, obviously your mitochondria are going to be impaired. Smoking, incidentally, affects every cell in your body.
Yes.
So smoking, not a good idea.
Yeah, mitochondria are like a powerhouses of the cell.
Yeah.
So they are the one that produce the energy, and smoking, it impairs and diminishes their capacity to produce the energy. So it's an excellent point why we should not be smoking, and not only that we get lung cancer, but every cell in the body, even the digestion, is impacted.
And secondary smoke is even, I read the other day, secondary smoke is even more dangerous than smoking yourself. Can you imagine what years ago we used to fly on an airplane and there were the smokers and there's the non-smokers in back?
Yeah.
But hey, it must be a little bit reversible because I'm still here.
In 1950s, there was a committee to understand why lung cancer is increasing, and that 12 people, if I remember correctly, sitting and thinking about what causes lung cancer. Almost every one of them had cigarette in their hands.
Yes.
So at the time, it was a fancy to smoke, but they didn't know that it is promoting a variety of chronic diseases.
Just watch the latest Oppenheimer movie, a great movie, which I recommend, but all the people sitting around are all smoking cigarettes. But their knowledge, was limited, and the cigarette companies, they knew it, but the information wasn't out there. But, now it is. It's the same with type 2 diabetes. They could detect it in children by getting serum insulin tests at a very young age.
Yeah.
And then we could solve this epidemic of chronic disease we're having. But industry is too involved. But watch my shows, which are going all over the world.
Yes.
And then maybe we will eventually get to the type 2 diabetes, because 50 diseases attached to type 2 diabetes. 50. They could all be, 90% could be prevented. So, and smoking causes DNA damage. The aromatic amines in smoke. Incidentally, there's sugar in cigarettes. Read Gary Taub's book. I knew it before that, but he has a chapter on that. Yeah, the sugar in cigarettes that makes the lungs acidic. It opens the alveoli up, and then the nicotine can enter the blood system and addict you. The companies discovered that. So what is life? I mean, what is life? It's moving enzymes, glucokinase and phosphorus atoms to make energy. That's life. Isn't that interesting? I mean, what is life? And remember, the DNA has our genes hidden in them, versus the RNA ribosomes, they capture the amino acids and the proteins. Remember, there are about 8 or 9 essential amino acids, so you have to take in some protein. You can say, I don't eat meat. Well, there's plenty of protein in vegetables, incidentally. But I am not against eating a little bit of meat. But remember, my pyramid is 60, 50, 70% good fats. Learn the difference between good fats and bad fats. A lot of people don't know that, and they consume tremendous amount of protein. If you eat more protein than your body needs, you know what happens? It gets converted to sugar.
Yes.
So hardly anybody knows that. So you can, but to eat some meat, but not 7 days a week.
In Indian culture, when you look at for generations, thousands of years, there are some people, groups, they only eat vegetarian. And they had a judicious combination of variety of different pulses that provides most amino acids or all amino acids our body needs. So if you want to be a vegetarian, we have to be intelligent vegetarian, not just bake the potato and eat and say I'm a vegetarian. So we have to be very careful how we bring variety of foods together to provide what our body needs.
You have to have some knowledge because vegetables can have lectins in them, and you can have a reaction to the gluten in lectin and have diseases that are very serious. So I'm not against being vegetarian, but you got to be sure you're not lectin sensitive. I was watching a YouTube show by a doctor, Gundry. I mean, he's a fantastic doctor. I mean, he gave up all this surgery he was doing on little children in Loma Linda University, and eventually said, everything I'm operating on is preventable, it's stoppable. So we got to thank him for doing that. And then he developed big-time laboratories. So we got to give him a lot of credit. But I was watching his DVD, and I will say I was a little bit disappointed. I've read all his books. I think he's a fantastic guy. But at the end, he was selling a supplement. I watched it 40 minutes. At the end, he wants you to take a supplement. He didn't need to do that. If you eat the right food, you don't need supplements, except in very rare cases. But you can watch him on YouTube. He's a great guy. But I was saying, I was disappointed. And so what are we saying? Life can essentially last forever. We don't really have to die if we learn the proper habits. So it's true. There are no biological or chemical or physical laws that say life has to end. So when they say next century we live to be 150 and over, well, maybe so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, I plan to live to be 100. Who knows? But
there are some people who lives under 120 years right now with the knowledge that we have. At the same time, as you are saying, for example, in the colon cancer, there is a one gene mutation, APC mutation, that adenomatous polyposis coli. That one mutation, if somebody has it as a kid, then that person may die when they are in 20s to 40s. But if they eat variety of fruits and vegetables and rainbow of fruits and vegetables, healthier diet, not the American standard diet, but healthier, they pay attention to their diet, then they can live up to 60 to 65 years. So 20, 25 years of life they can add even with the gene mutation if they are paying attention to exercise and eating right, even when there is a gene mutation.
Yeah. A genetic structure in some people does determine disease, and it's very strong. But for most of them, what he's saying, which is true, the gene has to be expressed. And if you follow the right way of eating, that gene doesn't have any power over you.
Yes.
So it's very important. So when we eat, for example, I mean, it's okay to eat some meat. There's plenty of amino acids in vegetables, but it's okay to eat some meat. We're not saying you gotta, but the best way of eating though is to be a vegetarian, pescatarian. In other words, to even eat one serving of fish along with vegetables daily. Those are the people that live the longest.
That's very
I read
interesting.
that, yeah.
2,000 years back, when you see someone inviting his disciples to eat fish as a breakfast, they're like a brunch. That's very interesting. 2,000 years later, with all the scientific knowledge, we are coming to what we know.
And we proved it.
Yes, we proved it.
And we proved it.
Yeah.
And so, there's a Hebrew blessing they commonly say, may you live to be 120. Well, it may soon need updating. Maybe we're going to need to say 150. So who knows? So
I like your optimism there.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually some reality to it. Remember, there's no clear scientific reason why we have to die.
Yes.
And so in the future, we may have DNA monitoring. In other words, you go in to see the doctor, and the science is slowly being developed that we will do a blood test and monitor your DNA. And yours may be different, your mine from another person, and that'll determine what they recommend. But we know now, though, that people are not following proper lifestyle that well. It's going to help a few people, but I doubt when you leave the doctor's office and he has 10 recommendations that people will follow them. But let's hope so. At least we will know, So that's called bio-tracking. But the most critical daily decision we can make right now, fast and follow sort of 50, 70% good fats, 20% protein, and the rest of vegetables and berries. A 90% vegetable diet is not that healthy. Because when you read about the lectins, for example, but like Mayor Adams in New York City, he in the school system, there's a free breakfast, free lunch, free dinner for all the children. Let's face it, that's fantastic. He has a great website. Look at it. But if you read his book he wrote, Eric Adams, who I really like a lot because I think he's a strong mayor. Is that he's now pushing the school lunch program, but like Friday is meatless Friday, Monday is vegetable Monday. He may try to convert the whole city, but when you read his book, he says bad things about all fats. That's not the latest science. There are good fats, there are bad fats. I want you to know the difference, and you can look at Rudy Cashman YouTube and see that. So aging is not inevitable. It's part of life. Take better care of yourself. Don't just develop some chronic disease and you die at age 60. Well, maybe that's what you want to do. But I doubt any of us want to do that. But I want you to be disease-free. Like when we think of Dr. Gundry, who worked at Loma Linda University, where the people on the average in Loma Linda live an extra 10 years. The Seventh-day Adventists is part of their religion. And it's partly how they're eating. They exercise more. and they're happy people. So to be a happy person definitely has value. That's very important. And they live in Loma Linda. That's just outside L.A. They live on the average 10 years longer than anybody else. But they're not, on the average, don't live to be 120. And one of the people there is a surgeon who even at age 80-something is assisting people in other surgeons still working. So to have a purpose in life, I'm going to make that maybe a number 3 or number 4 is very important.
So you talked about exercise
Yeah.
as the number 1 thing we should be focused on.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because when we look at any human being, we are 65% is water. And the water, when it stagnates, it becomes like a pond. You have a pond at home. And when the pond, you have, a lot can come in to the pond. But when we exercise, you make that water into a river.
Yeah.
And that's when there is a cleanliness that is there in the flowing water, flowing living water, than a stagnant pond-like water. So exercise, coming to the one of the top things, I think it is the nutrition as the number 1, exercise later, but they are in the top 1 and 2, nutrition and exercise. After that, you are saying the purpose in life.
Yes.
That is where in Japan they have a word for it, ikigai.
Yes.
They call ikigai. There's a purpose in life.
They ask you what your ikigai is.
Yeah.
Yes. And they make it a big thing.
Yes.
And I feel so lucky. And I mean, let's face it, the best purpose in the world, helping other people. That's what I'm doing through books and TV and radio and what you and I are doing. We're helping other people, and most of it is free. And so I feel so lucky I have a purpose. So I want you to develop a purpose. It can be anything, helping the poor or helping your neighbor or maybe being good to the animals, whatever. But if you have a purpose in life, you will live longer. You will live longer.
Yes. In Sanskrit, over 3,000 years back or so, it was said, what you are saying, it was said, Paropakarartha midam sariram. In Indian context, they were saying, our bodies exist for serving others. That is what.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says.
You gotta admit.
Yeah.
You gotta admit that's so beautiful. Like I said, at Loma Linda, they have 10 additional years, but I want you to have more. We're aiming for 20, at least in the next century, maybe 150. That's our aim. And so in the next century, maybe 150, it may be normal. So, but who is more likely to do that? It'll be the fastest, the smartest, the strongest tend to survive, okay? So pay attention and take some responsibility for your own health. Industry, to be honest with you, is so interested in making money that even when you look at my book, you can see that, like, take the public school system. We've had a federal school support program since 1970, but if you were to look at them online, you can put it up online just like that. I did this morning. There's cinnamon rolls for breakfast. That's going to lead to diabetes as a child. And they do it every day. They do it every day. Yeah, that promotes industry. Industry has bribed the congressman, let's face it. And even a public health official, do we know what he says? Does he have ads in the newspaper? Like I put ads in the newspaper. I don't see any ads recommending what we should eat. Here's one I did for the Inkspot, a newspaper that mainly black people, but to me, I don't see color differences. So look, let me hold this up for you because, and I'll speak a little bit about, look at this. Look at this. It's about dental care. It's about dental care. We need to pay attention to our teeth even as soon as a child is born, to teach a child how to clean their teeth, even when they're not the permanent one does, so they get in the habit of brushing their teeth. I didn't learn yet to brush your teeth till I was in college. I lost a bunch of teeth before that. The biome that is growing on your teeth helps determine your health, big time.
That's very important. I understand that it is connected to the heart health and also brain health, our oral health. So
Yes.
what type of brush? People use sometime electronic brush and sometime normal brush. What you recommend and what type of paste you recommend for a common person?
Well, I think it's a good question. I say just brush your teeth. I'm not going to pick any one brush, and then flush out your mouth and maybe floss a little bit. I even had some pain in my teeth a couple of years ago, but ever since I've been brushing it twice a day and flossing, and all my pain went away.
And then when we eat the sugary foods or drink sugary stuff, the oral bacterial composition and content is going to be changed
Yes.
versus eating whole food that
Yes.
we consume. So what you recommend when people cannot avoid nowadays drinking sugary foods when they go for meetings and things like that, what is your recommendation that what we should do immediately after?
Well, I mean, I would say brush your teeth after every meal. Yeah, you have to increase it and to gargle and get, but that's critical. You can because even if you developed false teeth and prosthesis in there, bacteria tend to hide behind them and increase the rate of destruction of the enamel on your teeth. Dental nutrition is not talked about enough. They used to teach in the schools. Now they stopped teaching in the schools. I don't know why. Maybe the dental associations went to them, stopped teaching the kids. Maybe it's a cost involved. But so many diseases are related to dentition that please speak to your children or yourself. Brush your teeth every day, floss every day, and important because those bacteria affect the gut and your brain and your heart. You can starve off a tremendous amount of disease and live to be 110. So dental care is critical. Let me speak a little bit about the blue zones in the world, you know, where people live a lot longer.
Yeah.
You hear about them.
Yeah.
And the one you hear a lot about is Loma Linda in California, in the United States, Seventh-day Adventists. They live on the average 10 years longer. And let me say, they don't eat a lot of meat. They're mainly vegetarian, but some do eat some meat. Meat eaters, they also eat more desserts and drink more pop, refined grains. They generally weigh 20 pounds more on average. Isn't that interesting? So, and as I mentioned, the longest life is the pesco-vegetarians, the ones who follow sort of a general diet, but do we eat some meat, but it's fish. They could have it once a day. They have the longest life. They studied over 100,000 people, and it was done, I think, actually at Loma Linda, and that's what they come up with. I mean, there are other people in the world that follow a different way of eating, and they live longer. And so there's some in Italy, there's some islands, Costa Rica, for example. They're different, but it's changing too. The fast food industry has invaded them, and they're not any longer. Yeah. So I suggest that your home be the blue zone.
Yes, I think it's a home. To make a home a blue zone, we need to pay attention to the kitchen as a very sacred place.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a wonderful place. You know, Mark Hyman, who's written many great books on nutrition, he makes his home a sacred place. Yes. They do not cook dinner till he's home. No matter how late he works, he's a doctor. When he comes in, they start cooking, and he's up there, and all the children are up there, and isn't that a wonderful thing? So Loma Linda, it's a sanctuary in time. You know, they focus on family. This is a good one too. They focus on family, God, friends, okay? And they pay attention to their weight. They exercise regularly. They mix with friends. They snack on nuts. And they try to give something back to society or to other people. They put more plants in their diet. They drink plenty of water. They don't smoke at all. Maybe occasional glass of wine. Okay, so they have great habits. But I think to make your kitchen a sacred place, and some people that might even say, you know, a little prayer, no matter what religion that you are. I think that's a great thing. And we already spoke about our telomeres, and to the shorter your telomeres are, the sooner you will die. So to lengthen your telomeres, you do the things we spoke about. At the Kaiser Health Plan, they studied 100,000 people, and they studied the telomeres there. You know, that's a business that has everybody under the same health plan. And they made it more healthy. And they gave financial rewards to people who follow it. So this would be a good idea. So we can change or prevent aging prematurely by developing good habits. Stress affects us too. And when we're more stressful, we tend to eat more. For example, when you're stressed out, and I can remember at the hospital having stressful days, and I'd walk by the donut shop, and I will grab a donut to feel better. The sugar, I'm in heaven, dopamine gets secreted. You got to watch out for that. I no longer am attracted to donuts. I get over that. So if you have a lot of sweet attraction, it is you can get over that. I just don't eat them. To me, they don't seem sweet anymore.
Yeah, once we know why you should not eat,
Yeah.
then we have a greater self-control because we are understanding why. So essentially, when we are stressed, cortisol levels goes up, and then what happens? We are in need of that dopamine response to make us feel happy. Otherwise, we are getting into the anxiety mode. So essentially, even in the mouse, if you stress the mouse and then you give a really healthy food versus sugary food, it will go to the sugary food and leaving the healthy
Yeah,
food.
they did the studies on animals and mice. Yeah. And also, I think to be a positive thinker, you're more likely to be healthy. You know what I mean? When you exercise and you're walking in nature, and I sing a song to the birds, hey, I'm feeling good. And when you wake up in the morning, you have a smile on your face, a wonderful day, I'm alive. You know, go downstairs and read a book and watch the birds flying by, and so put some joy into your life, and a purpose in life brings more joy, to begin with.
I live at Purdue area. I'm not affiliated at this time to Purdue, but I live there's a lot of small companies that are coming up. The ecosystem is very healthy there. That's the reason why I'm there. There is actually a bog called celery bog, where there is a lot of birds, variety of different birds that come.
Is that
there.
right?
Yeah, and there is a variety of life forms are there. So it's what I remember vividly is people who walk, and when when you have to watch different type of birds, you have to walk, and
Yeah.
you are walking in the woods.
Yeah.
And then you are walking in the woods, there is a fresh air, you are looking at variety of different birds, you are identifying, means your mind is working. So your body is working, your mind is working, and it is very pleasant thing, instead of sitting in front of a TV where lot of news is negative. How can we have a positive thinking when what is information that is coming into us is very negative? So I think taking some breaks from this TV and going for a walk is a healthy way to promote positive thinking.
That's why
Yeah.
in the mornings, if I'm not playing pickleball, I'm walking around my pond. I'm looking at the trees and the leaves, and I watch them grow up. And I've planted probably 20 trees on my property, and I watch them grow, and some are so big. And then when the leaves come down, and I look at the configuration of the leaves, and then the birds are following me, and they're singing at me, and I'm singing. I'm whistling, whistling back at the birds, and they look for me in the morning, just like the geese did that day. So develop something in life that's relaxing to you and a purpose. And if you could make the exercise fun, like you couldn't believe this, but I guess you would believe it now, that playing pickleball, that I tap dance, and I'm doing the shimmy, 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 20 different steps, and I'll put that on YouTube sometime so you all can have a laugh, and because it's strengthening my legs, you know what I mean, and because I think that's important, and when you de-stressed and you're walking in nature, you're a lot less likely to become depressed. Especially men are getting much more depressed these days. In his hard times, it's hard to figure out. Men have less friends, if you know that. I mean, it's when I think of my wife, for example. She's on the phone all the time, walking around, I think listening to other people's troubles, and men are not like that. They do less. They do less of that. So they need something more to exercise, but to go to the Y and do some yoga, qigong, to get some social support. And there's a book out too called the Telomere Manifesto. It's a website. You can look at it. How to build your telomeres is a good thing in summary, there is also a book written by a Chinese doctor who for 38 generations has been sort of a system of medicine from China that he brought here, Secrets of Longevity, hundreds of ways to live to be 100. But I said, I want you to live to be 110, maybe 150. But his suggestions in here are very good. We don't have time to go through the whole thing, but let me read you a few things from him. Keep cancer at bay with mushrooms. Okay, that's healthy. Lower your blood pressure with olive oil. I go along with that. Spice up your circulation with Kaon, which is a common thing they use. Meditate your stress away. I think if you get the habit of meditation, and I've done that at times where there's a few minutes that I just go in the corner and meditate for a period of time. I think it's a good thing. Unclog your arteries with love to give people a hug. I know some people that when they say always give me a hug, well, maybe not a bad thing. And then they say, I love you. Well, maybe it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Take long walks for a long life.
Yeah.
And to slim down, fill up with soup. Okay. And let's just read a couple here. And the mother of all hormones, the growth hormone, that's the big hormone. Actually, when you wake up in the morning, I remember I fast, I don't eat, And the reason is some hormones are secreted by your body, DHEA, that's growth hormone that keeps your blood sugar up. Steroids are secreted because the day is approaching. Your appetite hormone in your stomach decreases, and that keeps your blood sugar like that. So the reason that you're not hungry in the morning, your body secretes about 5 hormones that makes you feel better. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And that's the reason fasting is easier. But the most important hormone of them all, though, is dihydrotestosterone. Aldosterone is the most important steroid in the human body because it can generate so many hormones in response to our body's needs. It is often considered the mother of all hormones. And by raising your blood sugar up, your appetite goes down, and you're fasting, and autophagia is occurring, and you're feeling better. And then he says, Rule 5, vegetable rainbow. Well, I think, remember, the science has changed towards ketones. So to eat mainly vegetable, and Gundry would say they could have lectins in them. I mean, it's certainly a lot better than eating steak 7 days a week, okay? But see how it goes with you. To me, the best way of eating would be Rudy's 16-8 ketone way of eating, fasting. If you have diabetes, you'll be rid of it in 6 weeks, 90% of the time.
If we have got bacterial imbalance, and maybe keto may be helpful in reversing it, but when it comes to the plant-based diet, plants had the secondary metabolites and lectins, but people thrived on plant-based diet in many cultures. It may be that now we use a lot of antibiotics, our gut bacteria has changed, that's why we are reacting to the plant-based diet, but it may not be the reason for disease when it comes to the plant-based diet.
Certainly. It's a lot better than eating sugary foods all day.
Yes.
But you have to watch out if you're eating a plant. Did they pick it in California green, and then they stopped in Arizona and they put pesticides and herbicides in it, and then you eat it as a fruit? You have to be careful. That's happening a lot today. So thanks for coming to the show. I think we know how to get you to live to be at least 120, and maybe in the future 150. You have no good reason to die. So, but important to avoid cigarettes and alcohol, and eat maybe the food pyramid which I described to you. And you can read my book, or Sinclair's book, or Dr. Nee's book to gather more information. We're just the beginning of your journey, but you must participate in it. Don't just let the medical community hand you a pill and you take it and you gain no knowledge. So we did this. Good to see you. We'll see you at the next show.
Yes.
And maybe you'll take me on a trip to India for too long. And
yes.
And we thank Access TV for letting us have this show. I think we have a purpose in life. We're helping a lot of people. Why do we both do this? We love you. We care about you. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
So much.